There it goes. And it even shows you what's in your camera display there. Oh, let's see if it can avoid the cone.
There's a lot of construction. I bet you it can do all right.
Oh God, this is scary.
All right.
Oh my God, this is so scary.
Oh, you'll be fine.
I guess if it crashes, I can just tell Tesla it was the car's fault. Oh God, this is scary.
Nope, it's doing. Oh, there's a person.
Oh God, oh God.
Look at that. It recognized
the stop sign.
With the stop sign.
Holy what? This is like so crazy right now.
He's even the little dude on the screen.
Wow.
With a big stop sign.
Wow. Welcome to Beverly Hills in West Hollywood, where the traffic is just incessant.
Now, if he tells you to back up so this truck can get by.
Oh my. Oh.
It's backing up. And it recognizes the BMW
What?
behind us.
Are you freaking kidding me?
He's not doing any of this, guys.
I'm not. Like, this is like, okay, what?
Let's let him figure it out. Let him figure it out.
I am just so shocked right now.
So it backed up enough to let the truck by without hitting the BMW behind us. Now we're back in drive.
Okay.
And he's even creeping forward as an impatient person like we would.
I mean, I did set it to go to hurry. I don't think I'm ballsy enough to do Mad Max, but
Mad Max would have just ran him over.
Oh God, okay. Yeah, probably.
That's pretty impressive.
It's still doing this. It turns the turn signal back on. I mean, I could do a video on this is the full self-driving on its own.
It also knows that there's a blockage of the road over there. Obviously, other than the cones, it already knew that. It route planned us around that reroute.
So Rivian apparently says that they have their full self-driving coming by the end of this year, and I'm skeptical that it'll be as good, but I'm a believer now. I am truly a believer. This is ridiculous. But now that I'm done like drooling over the full self-driving, Rob, my mind is blown right now. Like, this is stupid. This is like the future. Like, I have always said like GM's Super Cruise was the absolute best, which it's still good, but I mean, this is what Tesla is known for.
Super Cruise, the best, really? Come on, Redline Reviews, it's 2026. But you know what they say? Better late than never. And I would say Tesla is having a chat GPT moment of its own right now. It's not the instantaneous all at once that many had hoped. But when you take a look around, there are plenty of content creators, influencers, whatever you want to say, posting videos of them buying their first Tesla. And the reviews and testimonials and anecdotes of people realizing how good FSD is for the first time are now quite abundant. Now, yes, obviously I'm plugged into that corner of the algorithm, but we are seeing it play out with Tesla's FSD attach rate based on the Q2 data. So while we wait for things in robotaxi land to pick up, at least Tesla's car sales and FSD attach rates seem to be doing very well. Today we learned Hughes Network Systems is filing a voluntary Chapter 11 bankruptcy to facilitate a financial and operational reorganization. Basically, they had debt coming due and they couldn't pay it. And they're going to use this opportunity to shift to more enterprise and defense and governmental contracts. Just know HughesNet had geostationary satellites, whereas we know Starlink is low Earth orbit. So HughesNet was working with latency figures around 600 milliseconds, where Starlink is typically between, call it 20 and 60 milliseconds. And Hughes did say this bankruptcy will have no impact on EchoStar, the parent company's other operations or other brands like Dish TV, Sling TV, or Boost Mobile. And you guessed it, the reason for this bankruptcy: mounting competition from Starlink, which has led to heavy losses in Hughes' legacy consumer internet market. Hughes broadband subscribers have plummeted about 22% over the past year to 641,000. And the company does not expect this trend to reverse because Starlink continues to accelerate and improve. Hughes' CEO said LEO satellite competition is structural, not cyclical, and the company's competitors continue to expand coverage and reduce costs. But the reality here, this has been a long time coming, and yes, Elon has effectively eliminated a competitor here. Don't forget, September of last year, EchoStar, Hughes' parent company, sold their Spectrum licenses for about $17 billion, which was roughly half cash and half in SpaceX stock. And as part of that long-term agreement, which enabled EchoStar's Boost Mobile subscribers to access SpaceX's next-gen Starlink direct-to-cell service, they also agreed to have SpaceX pay HughesNet a commission that works out to 2 months of service revenue for every customer that converts to Starlink. So months ago, HughesNet knew it had no chance of competing with Starlink, so they said, as we wind down this portion of our business, let's just start referring our customers to Starlink because it'll cost us nothing, and maybe in return we can get something, which, as you can see here, SpaceX agreed to. And at the time, EchoStar's two other companies, Dish Network and Boost Mobile, started promoting Starlink sales and installations. And EchoStar's former CEO said SpaceX is the undisputed leader in the marketplace in terms of connectivity for internet today using Starlink. And last year, HughesNet said they had substantial doubt about their ability to continue as a going concern. Once again, because HughesNet was bleeding customers to Starlink. And obviously from the SpaceX perspective, paying effectively 2 months of Starlink customer revenue to HughesNet for that customer made a ton of sense, as the lifetime value would be much higher, and it was basically 1 month up front and then 1 month when that customer reaches 1 year of service. And don't forget, Amazon is planning to launch its Kuiper service sometime later this year. So the more customers SpaceX can acquire from HughesNet now before you have another option in the market, the better. And I'm not saying all 500,000 plus of these remaining HughesNet customers will all transfer over to Starlink, but there are incentives in place beyond just those monthly payments, as SpaceX was periodically offering hardware discounts as well. But truly, I think it's reasonable to assume that 50% plus of those customers over time will eventually shift over to Starlink. And given Starlink already has 12 million plus subscribers and it's growing quickly, this is not going to be a major needle mover. But again, the lifetime value of potentially 250,000 new Starlink customers over time is certainly not nothing. So once again, Elon and SpaceX saw this trend last year. They put a plan in place to funnel most of those customers to themselves and are quite literally operating at a level that these other companies simply cannot compete with. And who is this going to happen to next? Well, there might be some other smaller companies, but as I've said before, I think Waymo as a company will cease to exist by 2030. Frankly, I think it could happen before then, but once Tesla starts scaling in the handful of markets that Waymo is in and undercuts them on price and outcompetes them in terms of user experience and smoothness, and of course safety, unless Waymo can figure something out with the new Ojai platform to start making money, then they're just going to be outcompeted by a company that has vertically integrated nearly every important piece of critical infrastructure, leaving the competition with no path to success. And one last note before we move on, that SpaceX purchase of the spectrum from EchoStar, Hugh's parent company. The former CEO of EchoStar said the transaction continues our legacy of putting the customer first and allows the combination of those spectrums from EchoStar with the rocket launch and satellite capabilities from SpaceX to realize the direct-to-cell vision in a more innovative, economical, and faster way for consumers worldwide. And Gwynne Shotwell said, in this next chapter, with exclusive spectrum, SpaceX will develop next-gen Starlink direct-to-cell satellites, which will have a step change in performance and enable us to enhance coverage for customers wherever they are in the world. So SpaceX clearly dominating the consumer broadband market and simultaneously setting the foundation to do the same with direct-to-cell. And in a new filing, SpaceX has said it's planning for thousands of satellites in operation for Starlink Mobile by the end of 2028. And this is the satellite to phone service that's already available on T-Mobile and Canada's Rogers wireless carrier. Right now, Starlink Mobile has about 650 satellites, which enables it to send mobile data and text messaging to phones in cellular dead zones. And as we've talked about in the past, the plan is to upgrade this system with a second-gen constellation that could span up to 15,000 satellites. And those next-gen sats are set to start launching sometime by late 2027. SpaceX said Starlink will be able to provide its partners with life-saving data services by Q3 2027, with voice following within months. By the end of 2028, Starlink will have already rapidly upgraded the constellation by launching thousands more satellites, providing continuous full global coverage to become the first, and most likely the only, direct-to-device provider to offer true coverage in high-latitude polar regions. And this is perfect timing today because the next-gen Starlink Mobile promises to offer 150 megabit per second speeds to users on unmodified smartphones, partly by leveraging that valuable spectrum that SpaceX is acquiring from EchoStar. And that deal is set to officially close November of next year. And they said Starlink has already started working with the handset manufacturers to make sure new devices will have the chipsets needed to support the band. But Starlink Gen 2 is expected to dramatically expand compatibility with unmodified smartphones, enabling a wide array of mainstream smartphones from makers like Apple, Samsung, Google, and others to achieve full voice, text, and data functionality with broad commercial availability of natively supported devices in late 2027. But adoption of the upgraded Starlink Mobile will depend on consumers buying next-gen devices, according to SpaceX. And SpaceX said Starlink does not plan to offer its own standalone service, nor does it plan to deal exclusively with any one carrier. Instead, Starlink plans to offer services available to all interested mobile carriers and their customers. And for the new phones that need new chips for the full benefits of the new service, SpaceX is certainly influential, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to fully control what Apple and Samsung do. And today we learned SpaceX and the state of Louisiana are close to finalizing a deal for SpaceX to acquire 130,000 acres along the northern coast of the Gulf of Mexico. The governor of Louisiana is expected to announce the agreement later this month. And for the reason, May of this year, SpaceX said it's no secret we intend to launch Starship a lot, targeting thousands of flights per year. That cadence will require the ability to launch from many different locations, so we're constantly exploring to find viable sites to expand Starship operations in the future, both domestically and internationally. And there are rumors that Louisiana will announce a package of incentives for SpaceX. And this agreement will include provisions for coastal restoration and preservation of the sensitive marshland along the northern Gulf Coast, which is important for wildlife and also acts as a buffer for hurricanes that regularly impact the region. So naturally, SpaceX acquiring land like this is a good sign that they are confident that the rate of Starship launches will increase in the foreseeable future. And after Flight 13, I don't think that should be a surprise. And listen guys, I know many of you out there are not feeling great about Tesla and you feel like SpaceX is getting all of the attention and it's more exciting right now. And despite all of my recent commentary, I just need you to hear me. Tesla's time is going to come. It may be a painful wait and longer than many of us had hoped, but if you stay patient long enough, you will be rewarded. Not financial advice, but this maneuvering and out-competing that we're seeing right now from Elon and SpaceX and on the compute side that I've been hammering as of late, that season will come to fruition for Tesla likely sometime next year. And an important reminder on the lockup period for SpaceX, given SpaceX's earnings this week, there are 3 different buckets. The public float now, bucket 2, another 35% of the company set to be fully released toward the end of this year, and then the third bucket, which is primarily Elon shares that will be unlocked next year. But all I wanted to remind you of today is bucket 2. That's because we have roughly 7% of SpaceX, or roughly 20% of this bucket, set to be released this week because it's 2 days after the Q2 earnings. But as I have said before, remember, a lot of this is priced in, and as I've said, I think a lot of these SpaceX insiders will be looking to keep their shares given where the price is right now. Frankly, I think even if the price was higher, a lot of these insiders would still want to hold on to some of their shares. And it's unofficial, but it sounds like S40 is currently being towed by 3 different ships to the coast of Australia, but depending on wind and other factors, this process could take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. And Oliver said, can confirm S40 has been attached and is currently in tow en route to Australia. David Moss said Tesla's FSD 14.3.7 is their greatest release of all time. Of course, it's still very early, but I've seen other people like Chris from Dirty Tesla say it does feel smoother when it comes to some of those brake jitters. So an encouraging start, we'll see how it progresses. But as many of us know at this point, it really is all eyes on V15. And I had community member Kevin share this one with me as a reminder to stay vigilant. It's tough to see given the glare, but for this highway on-ramp, there was a lane closed sign with some cones. And at this point, only a few feet away from that sign in those cones and potentially a barrier in the back, self-driving was still engaged and not making plans to move over. And going forward, you will see that was indeed a concrete shoulder that closes off that portion of the lane. And I keep sharing these clips because I find myself on FSD getting a bit too lackadaisical and distracted sometimes because of how good it usually is. An unfortunate situation, there was a new white labeled Tesla Supercharger in New Hampshire that is apparently going to be shut down later this year because of some changes when it comes to the rates for electricity. The owner of this site said he spent $400,000 of his own money, and they were told they'd be charged between 18 and 28 cents per kilowatt, but at the time there was this EV2 rate plan which was ultimately discontinued. He said they've lost over $20,000 in their first 3 months. I will have the link below if you want to learn more, but in case you want to send a quick email to encourage the New Hampshire representatives to bring that old rate program back that made some of these sites actually economical, I will have have that you can copy and paste in the description below. And when it comes to FSD approvals across the EU, we just got some Series O2 amendments to the UNR 171. Just know this does not change anything when it comes to the existing approvals or any other countries potentially approving FSD in the near term. This Series O2 update mainly improves the long-term framework. So ultimately it's expanding the scope for some of these advanced driving features, things like system-initiated maneuvers in more environments, and a clearer framework for when you can be hands-off and in what conditions. So it's a new set of regulations with more clarity, and Tesla will have to make some software adjustments for full compliance, but this Series O2 update is not set to go into effect until January 2027. But the good news is any new type approvals under this Series O2 will be cleaner and easier and ultimately less reliant on exemptions. But here's the thing, this Series O2 could be largely irrelevant for Tesla because of when it goes into effect if Tesla's FSD gets a yes vote at the expected upcoming vote in October at the TCMB meeting. So if FSD gets broadly approved later this year, then it won't really rely on Series O2 changes at all. And I know many folks are hoping that speed control comes back for FSD, but David Moss said, "I hope it never comes back because all input is error." To which Ashok said, "Max speed control is an anti-pattern. We're working on better learning of users' implied preferences." And an anti-pattern is basically just a common response to a problem that keeps happening that seems to be a good solution, but in actuality it's ineffective or counterproductive, and usually creates more problems than it solves. And of course I understand why it's unfortunate, because right now as supervisors we are responsible if we get pulled over while supervising FSD, but there's not much we can do. Tesla is clearly choosing this harder path of making the system smarter about user preferences rather than giving us this permanent manual override. And just passing it along, Elon said Optimus will be epic, and Gally said this is going to be an insane opportunity in retrospect, sharing a picture of SpaceX at $108 per share. To which Elon said, "I think so." Tesla stock closed the day at $322.08, up 3.49%, and SpaceX closed at $114.53, up 5.68%, while the NDX was up 1.78%. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.